chat request that I go back to the bunnies. Behold, butts. What I have on my screen right now, just in case you are out there watching the stream, tuning in for the first time, maybe, I am Ktabulous on Twitch. But if you want to find me on social media like Threads, Twitter, and Instagram, I am disco_Ktabulous. So that is my IG tag right there. As well as basically every other media except for Twitch, where I was able to secure the name that I always wanted, which is Ktabulous, because my name is KT, and it rhymes with fabulous. This is the first cosplay that I wore at con, so I arrived, and you know, it's a huge hotel. I gotta say this. It's the biggest hotel I've ever been to in my life. Gigantic. It's like right across the interstate from Disney World, so like this is a hotel that does a lot of business here in Orlando. So had to figure out parking, had to meet up with my roommates, had to get settled in, and then I threw on my first cozy kind of casual cosplay of the con, which was a Christmas froppy. So this is a Walmart sweater I bought the day before con. I made this little froggy applique. I already had the wig from previous froppy endeavors. And these, what you see on my screen right now, are actually like terrible, how do I say this? Like terrible selfies. Like, so there's all this beautiful Christmas decor, which a lot of cosplayers, like if you go to Colossal Con, you're all about that beachy, hot water park vibe to get your great pics. And here it's all about the Christmas vibes. So I was, I don't know, maybe like a little nervous, a little shy. I was like going around solo at con. So I took some kind of, I don't know, weak ass selfies, but that's where we started the evening. And then we have the first person that I like took notice of once I was at con is someone I met before. This is E Breezy, if you want to follow him on Instagram, 127, and he created this cosplay for Dragon Con, which is a play on the Twitter meme of everyone changing their profile picture for Kingdom Hearts fans to the Master of Masters, as Twitter wrongfully tried to rebrand as X, which we all know is basically lame. But yeah, I saw this guy and I was just like, hey, I think I know you, or someone stole your cosplay idea. So it's great to see him again with a Christmas adaptation. I actually saw a lot of people at this con that I met at Dragon Con, and I thought that was sort of exciting. It's, you know, my hope to continue to go to more cons, more and more cons all the time, but also to bring you, the viewer, con content. So I love these connections that I'm making now that I'm seeing people at multiple cons. I was kind of on a mission to take pictures of as many Christmas, specifically Christmas cosplays as I could. So this beautiful woman is sansun.ox if you want to follow her on Instagram, and I was completely taken by her Minions, sexy Minions Christmas cosplay. Like, what? It's wild and I love it, and she was a delight to meet. And also my mom is like a huge fan of Minions, so I weirdly was like, I gotta take a picture of this for my mom. Also ran into, while in line for an event, this beautiful cosplayer, Pretty Little MJ on Instagram, doing kind of like a carnival style poison ivy, which I have actually done before. I have been and kind of remain still very obsessed with carnival aesthetic, with you know, everything that kind of translates from this sort of spectrum of carnival to, you know, burlesque and showgirl, right? It's in the same realm, a lot of the same construction tools. She actually was very kind and let me get a lot of close-up looks at some of the detailing that she did on this cosplay, and I was stunned. Amazing. I met these two lovely cosplayers who didn't have any socials that they wanted to share, but this is a cosplay I saw a lot, the little Knight of the Sun. I actually saw multiple of the same cosplay everywhere, but I like that this guy put the little Christmas lights on it. There were a lot of cute Christmas touches at this con that I really appreciated. And we, of course, if I see a Sora, I say hi to Sora. If I see Sora, I say hi to Sora. So here we have, you know, the, what is that, Kingdom Hearts 2? Yeah, this looks like Kingdom Hearts 2 Sora, but he's got his little Santa hat and some Christmas lights, and we stand the festivity, we stand a mashup. This is how we cosplay. And the Chibi Moon is lovely. I love her little Christmas, that fabric. I'm obsessed. I'm just in love with that fabric. And she gave me this little cute sticker as well, but I'm glad actually to go back to this slide because this was an event that the con hosted that was called like Cosplay Couture Gala. And the idea behind it really was that there was a cosplay like showcase. And then after the showcase, they encouraged people to come to this room where they had drinks and snacks and free cheese. And like the purpose of this event was literally just mingle with other cosplayers, which I think a lot of people at con, not everyone, I mean, at con, man, all kinds of people are willing and ready to be your friend. I do think this was helpful to set up a scenario. It's like you are meant to mix. As a mixer, you are meant to meet people. You are meant to network. And so nobody felt awkward about just approaching anyone and saying, hey, you know, what do you do? What do you cosplay? How's it going? I met some really cool people. I met some people that are a little more in my age range, which was nice. And I talked to them for a while. So we were able to kind of like embrace nostalgia in terms of cons, you know, 15, 20 years ago. They were different. Cosplay 15, 20 years ago. It was different. And that was fun to reminisce with people. And also I just met a lot of cool people at this event. So loved the concept. The turnout probably wasn't as huge as they wanted because there were like issues with the room itself. They had to like do a bunch of cleanup. So the event was delayed. I think more people would have come if the event had started on time. But I still had a great time there. And there was music provided by a guitarist and saxophone player duo, the Con Players. They were lovely. I mean, it was like a legit mixer. We were like eating cheese, listening to jazz, anime bops, and it was a good time. Oh my gosh. I feel like I did not talk about this. So let's talk about this. This is Asta.Darling. She was also a featured cosplay guest at the event. And I was in love with her cosplay. But when I said to her, you doing like a Bjork thing, but with a flamingo because it's Florida, she was delighted that I recognized what she was going for. So apparently I'm old and I get that, totally get that. But a lot of people didn't know what she was doing with this cosplay. So I provide you with this reference photo. Beloved Icelandic avant-garde music artist of the 90s, Bjork, went to an event wearing this stunning swan dress. And this cosplayer recreated it with a flamingo, which I just think is top tier creativity. Love it. Now, this beautiful cosplayer, Christina Carrot Cake, if you're interested in checking out her work on Instagram, I saw her early in the con and I was happy to like run into her again and see that and have an opportunity to actually talk to her and take a picture of what she was working on. So I'm obsessed. I'm not even sure what the character is. It was giving me Witcher vibes, but obviously I could be wrong. It could be a video game or an anime that I've never played, but I was obsessed with these vibes that she's bringing. I was all about this like gingerbread armor, and I'm not trying to be lewd with the close-up or anything, but I just really wanted to showcase like the detail and the loveliness of this gingerbread armor that she made. She also made this incredible sword that has the candy cane stripes completely out of resin, which she told me about the tutorial that she found on Instagram to do that. But even knowing like, oh, someone told you how to do this, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like I was stunned. I was impressed. The armor is, I'm sure foam, but it's layered with Warbler to get kind of that stiffness and that gorgeous detail. This might be like up there in my top 5 of all the Christmas themed cosplays that I saw at Holmat, for sure. So if you want to check out more of her work, I have her IG tag here. Moving on to day two of con. That is my Instagram tag, my social media tag for Twitter and Threads as well, if you don't know and you want to follow my cosplays. But I did a Christmas Harley Quinn, which I gotta tell you, first of all, I got strep throat like 2 weeks ago, so I was completely not on top of my cosplays, like not at all. I was very behind and I was very much con crunching in a way that I haven't done in a while. So as I was putting on this look, waking up the second day of con, it was coming together as I applied the makeup and the tattoos. Actually still have the Harley Quinn tattoo because I haven't had the energy to take the temporary tattoo all the way off. So that was lovely for my relatives to wonder at Christmas if I had a weird giant arm tattoo. I do have tattoos. They're not usually this bold and brazen and out there. But I was really pleased with how it came out. And it's very subtle, but it is a Christmas Harley Quinn, right? So I made the shorts green and red and did the makeup green and red instead of blue and red. You can't see from this hotel room selfie, but the shirt says Santa's Little Monster, and her choker says Figgy Puddin', and her bat says To All a Good Night instead of Good Night. So just like very subtle ways that I took the details of her outfit, made it Christmas. It was very comfy and it was very fun to wear. I actually got to take some professional shots with a photographer that will be coming soon, and I will post to my socials. I saw a bunny meetup, so we see a variety of Christmas bunnies, and I just kind of snuck into their photo shoot. Not snuck in, it wasn't like closed off to the public, but I just sort of scooched in because I saw this group photo shoot happening. It was just like characters of all types of anime, all types of what have you, but bunny versions. And in this particular moment, they were all doing this great butt pose. So I thought that was lovely. That's all I got of this lovely bunny group. This is also the second day of con, that I just simply had to take a picture of this. This is the themed cocktail. And if you've been to cons, you know, that's kind of a staple, right? Themed cocktails are a staple of the brand. They're overpriced, but they're themed. So, hey, we're at con, we love anime or video games or whatever. But this one actually kind of made me mad. It made me mad to a point that I was talking about this kind of a lot, like throughout the con, to anyone who would listen. The bartenders probably hated me because I told multiple people, I was like, don't buy that. Don't buy that. Don't do that to yourself, because look at this drink. This drink is, inspired by Demon Slayer. So people are like, ooh, ah. And it looks pretty. So people are like, ooh, ah. But it is literally just Midori, which is not liquor. It is a liqueur. It's about 20% alcohol. So, I mean, it's much heavier, of course, than like beer or wine. It has a high alcohol content, but it's also a lot of sugar. It's bright ass green, mixed with 2 other sugars, simple syrup and grenadine. And if you don't know, grenadine is, the sweetest of all simple syrups. So the idea of having a regular plain simple syrup sugar and grenadine, and you're mixing it with a whole ass glass of Midori for $15, anime fans, don't let them play you. Now, I will say, to the credit of the hotel and the hosts, that there are a lot of people at cons that don't drink anywhere else but at con. And it is a sad fact that some of them just like get a little rowdy because they don't actually know how to drink, but they know that they want to. So I do think this was a good drink for serving people that wanted to have fun and have a palatable cocktail if you like drinking pure sugar, which a lot of anime fans do, but without tons and tons of booze. So, maybe in that regard, good call. But I was certainly not foolish enough to pay $15 for a glass of sugar and very little alcohol. That's just me. On the second day of con, I also attended the Final Fantasy themed burlesque show. To answer your question, yes, there was a chocobo striptease. Love burlesque shows at cons. It's kind of a subcategory of burlesque that a lot of people call nerdlesque. And burlesque, first of all, is just a beautiful art form, and then you bring in the nerd factor. It was a blast. Obviously, I have no pictures of this because it is in very poor taste to take pictures of burlesque performers, but I did want to snag a picture of the title card as the guests wandered in, and it was a good time. I will say, maybe my only con of this is that they said it was going to be a 2-hour show, and it was very much just a 1-hour show. So on the one hand, I was like, oh, I kind of want to see a few more acts, but on the other, I only I only gave up 1 hour of con and was able to do, more things with my evening. So that was nice. I ran into this lovely cosplayer. I'm now feeling like such an asshole because I picked a picture where her eyes are closed. So my deepest apologies to the Phoenix, which you can find on Instagram. That's her tag there. But I met her the night before and we were talking about our tomorrow cosplays, and we said we should take a picture. But instead of getting each other's information, I just said, if I'm meant to find you again tomorrow, I will. And I did. I saw her from the back, right? I saw her sitting at the bar, the back of her head, and I said, oh, is that so-and-so, insert real name? And it was her. And so we took this adorable picture of her Poison Ivy and my Christmas Harley Quinn. Lovely cosplayer. Please follow her on Instagram. I was enticed, of course, by Christmas Thor. Didn't have any social medias that he wanted to share, but he was very much in character and a delight. We also, this evening, me and my roommates and a few other friends that I made at con, this evening, the second night of con, was all about karaoke. So I have kind of an image of what the karaoke space looked like. And this is actually, it was in the game room. And I had to take a picture of this because this is the most luxurious gaming room setup that I've seen at a lot of cons. Anyone who knows me knows I love Dragon Con. Dragon Con is my flagship con, if you will. But their gaming room is like crowded and like brightly fluorescently lit. And it's just not a vibe, right? But this game room was in a ballroom, so it was huge. There was tons of space between games, so all the sweaty gamers were not so sweaty. The lighting was beautiful and chill, and they hosted karaoke in this room, which I had a blast doing. This is also a picture of me with an Elvis cosplayer. I feel terrible I didn't put his tag up, but it's Jack Apollo's Cosplays, and he is exclusively an Elvis cosplayer, and I met him at Dragon Con and was delighted to see him again at this con. He's very committed to cosplaying in character as Elvis, and he performed karaoke as Elvis. Lots of stunning karaoke performances that night. It's a good way to end the second night of con. Third day, final day of con, and this is a lesson I learned that I want all of you to learn with me. And miss the game room being in the bottom of the Hilton? Please don't even take me down this road of nostalgia for when gaming was, because here's the thing about the basement of the Hilton. It was the most beautifully air-conditioned part of Dragon Con, right? So like, even if you didn't feel like gaming, just going down to the Hilton basement at Dragon Con to check out the gaming was just so refreshing. Dragon Con, if you don't know, is in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend, and it's rather hot as balls, so it was refreshing. Yeah, and now it is at America's Mart, which is sort of like a commercial space. And it's not as sexy, it's not as fun and chill. And in fact, when they did gaming in the Hilton at Dragon Con, that's also where they hosted karaoke, and it was a blast down there. Still some good karaoke to be found at Dragon Con, but there are many karaoke panels and unofficial karaoke spots that I miss. And yes, absolutely, access to Trader Vic's Tiki Bar, which is a delightful hub for Dragon Con goers. On the third day of con, it feels like on the third day of con, I made a terrible choice. And what I chose to do, you see, is I chose my most elaborate cosplay to wear on the last day of con, when I was obviously tired and hungover. And then I'm like, well, now I have to wake up and put on, full face paint, and this, this headpiece to make sure it's secure, as well as adding a few last minute rhinestones, because this is a cosplay. Let me tell you, it's White Diamond from Steven Universe. And I actually got to meet this lovely Blue Pearl, who you see pictured here. But I made this in like 2 days. Like, I had the supplies, but because I got sick so close to con, I just felt gross. I was crunching this out while binging Project Runway, in fact, to get it ready for con. I'm delighted with how it turned out, to be honest. I got a lot of compliments on this cosplay, so I didn't regret it. But in retrospect, I think I have learned. Pro tip: don't wear your most complicated cosplay on the last day of con, because you are going to be tired when you wake up, you are going to be hungover and sweaty, and it's going to be a burden. I can tell you that the sparkly heels you see in these pictures did not last all night. I switched over to my light-up shoes at one point. Oh my gosh, it's my partner in crime. Guys, if you don't know, also on my channel, I host a monthly podcast where we talk about nostalgic media, and in Medias Res 1 is my co-host, Corey. How you doing, Corey? How was your Christmas? Thank you so much for the props on White Diamond. I'm delighted with it. I might want to wear it to another con next year, but I will definitely add a little more detail. I think the gray and silver elements were a little darker than I wanted. I would like a more light palette, obviously, because she's like an all-white character. But no, I was happy with it. I worked with a photographer, so I'm very excited for when I get those professional photos back. These are just, you know, some photos on the phone. And if you aren't following me on other socials besides Twitch, I am disco_ktabulous. This is the Disco Lounge. If you want to check out more of my cosplay stuff. I met this lovely Guardians of the Galaxy cosplayer who had the raccoon on his shoulder, and he was just chilling. And then later I actually found him and the rest of the Guardians like vibing and dancing to music. I'm hoping to do a Guardians of the Galaxy cosplay group for PAX East in March in Boston. So I was very inspired to see their really awesome Christmas version of the Guardians. Moving on to some of the more fantastic Christmas cosplays that I saw at Holiday Matsuri. This was a cosplayer doing, you know, I guess like sexy Colonel Sanders Christmasified, right? So not the best picture because it was kind of a weird time of day. We were out by the food trucks getting food. I don't usually try to bother cosplayers when they are eating because I feel like that is the one time that it's just like they're on break. Don't ask for, if you see a cosplayer eating, don't ask for a picture. Like any other time, it's probably cool and they're probably excited to give you a picture, but like when they're eating, just let the cosplayers eat. But this woman was not eating. She was in line to get food, so I felt okay asking her for a quick pic of her Colonel Sanders Christmas cosplay. That is a bucket of chicken. Her prop is a bucket of chicken in the shape of a Christmas tree. Those are all like molded prop chicken wings. And it's just like hats off. Hats off. Amazing. Oh, sometimes you'll get, well, this thing, if you ask first, that's the golden rule. I very much recommend don't take pictures of cosplayers that you haven't asked first. It's just a general polite rule. And, you know, depending on what they're eating and how comfortable they look, you know, maybe they're down to just like hop up and give a picture. But in general, I know me as a cosplayer, that's like one time that I mean, I will always post for pictures, but like if I'm eating, that's usually like the least convenient time for me to do it. Like if you have gloves or anything, like when you sit down to eat, you take off a lot of your props, you know, you just want to be comfortable. So there is that to consider. Pro tip. I love being able to talk about cons on stream. Planning to go to a lot of cons 2024 as well. And I hope to be able to do something like this to share my experiences and pictures and cosplays and all the great things, you know, with everyone else. I've mentioned already that a lot of people I met at Dragon Con, I saw at Holiday Matsuri. And these people were at Dragon Con at the Fallout shoot up. So they made these, these like amazing Assaultron cosplays, like full armor that makes them look like exactly like the robots from the game. Like they nailed it. And then I saw them at Holmat, and they were they had added these silly little sexy Christmas dresses and hats to give it that holiday flair that makes Holmat so special, honestly. So there is their Instagram as well, No Sleep Till Cosplay on Instagram. I really recommend following these people. They are stunning cosplayers. Obviously a lot of Fallout, but definitely worth your time for sure. I also ran into this cutie. This is Admiral_Jellyfish on Instagram if you want to check out her cosplay work. But she is a holiday themed Cult of the Lamb, which I thought was too cute. If you follow any of my socials, if you've seen some of my cosplay pics, you know, I did a Cult of the Lamb group cosplay with some friends at Dragon Con. We were all different animals as followers, and then we of course had one friend who was the lamb. I think if you check out my Insta, there's actually a pretty funny video of all of us like dancing around and worshiping the lamb in my reels. My next Christmas cosplay that I discovered, and I have to say this is kind of a fun part that I created for myself at con, where it was like, I'm hunting Christmas cosplays, you know, like I'm on a mission. It gave me something like an extracurricular, which I very much encourage for con goers, you know. Make your own games, make your own fun, make con an activity, you know. I don't know, some people just want to get drunk, or some people just want to be tired and complain, and it's like, why did you come in the first place? I try to make every moment, you know, something to savor, even if it's just sitting and people watching, even if I'm on my own, which Some people don't want to go to cons because their friends don't want to go with them, and I can say that I make my own fun. And so my Christmas cosplay scavenger hunt is one of the ways that I had that fun this time. These two lovely Harleys we have on one side. This is Haunted Hostess on Instagram if you want to check her out. She does a lot of Harley Quinn cosplays. She's kind of this lovely Christmas sexy Santa Harley. And next to her is Hanukkah Harley. And so on her head is like a molded menorah. So cute. And you can find her as well at Supernova Tova on Instagram. So I made an effort to ask all of the cosplayers that I photographed if they wanted to be tagged, if they wanted their socials to be shared. And some people said no, you know, that they didn't want their socials shared, but they were happy to take a picture. And I recommend, I feel like I'm modeling what most people want and should do in the cosplay community. So at cons, you know, ask cosplayers for their socials. Like maybe you don't have time, maybe it's not a big deal, you just want the picture for yourself. But if you're going to post them on social media, ask them about their socials, because I guarantee you they want to share. They want people to see their work. You know, we all work very hard on our cosplays and people want it to be out there. This I thought was a very like rare and special thing to see. First of all, we don't see a lot of ephemer of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross cosplays, and of course a Christmas ephemer was doubly adorable to me. Very much enjoyed it. You can follow him on Instagram as well if you're interested. And I think he appreciated that I recognized who he was. He said a lot of people throughout con were mistaking him for Link, which is great. I love a mistaken cosplay. I've cosplayed Naminé before from Kingdom Hearts and been mistaken for Marilyn Monroe. When I did my Super Mario Brothers 1993 cosplay as Lena, I was mistaken for a female Kuwabara. All of these are hilarious, and I love them. I'm not opposed. Take too many pictures to look people up later, but I post them to as many prominent platforms as I can. Yeah, it's totally fine. But if you have the time, ask for their socials, tag them. I don't know. A lot of cosplayers, you know, are happy to pose no matter what because they've worked really hard and they're just glad anyone is admiring what they're doing. But I could tell that there was an extra little spark when after I took a picture, I was like, what can I tag you as? And they were really happy to be able to, like, you know, share that, because a lot of cosplayers are trying to put their stuff out there. Your wife's Pauline got confused for Jessica Rabbit and Carmen Sandiego. See, I think it's like when people misidentify a cosplay, it's never like a subtle wrong thing. It's always a hilariously wrong thing. I mean, I think I had a friend who cosplayed as Puss in Boots one year, and the mistake was that they were called Business Garfield, which is great. And I now kind of want to cosplay Business Garfield. I don't know. That might be an avenue I have to go down. Oh, this is from My Hero Academia. This is Bakugo. This is LARP Like Ray, if you're interested in following her on socials, once again. But I thought that this Christmas version of Bakugo was stunning. She had the candy cane stripes on the little headpiece. Her grenade armor piece was covered in wrapping paper. I mean, just all of these details. Very nice person and very lovely cosplay. Also, one of my roommates at this event was kind of a goth Deku, and then we ran into Christmas tree Deku, so we had to take a picture. No socials shared here, but I definitely love the idea of Deku just being a Christmas tree. And I stan a themed cosplay. Like if you take something that is expected and make it something different, but it still translates, that's the sweet spot. I love cosplay mashups. I love cosplay reinterpretations. This beautiful piece, this person I didn't know actually before I asked her for a picture, but once she told me her username, she was one of the featured cosplay guests at the event. This is Tough Tink, and I saw this cosplay a few times throughout con, so when I was actually in a position to like stop and talk and ask for a photo, I was delighted. I just love the color palette, the details of the little baubles, the headpiece, the pink wig. If you don't know me, I stan a pink wig. It's like a whole ass addiction, right? So beautiful cosplay. That's Tough Tink on IG if you want to follow her and see more of her beautiful cosplays. This stunning cosplayer, the Instagram tag that I have is actually not of this man, but of the woman who did the makeup for him, the special effects makeup, and that's Coleman's Creatures on Instagram. But this is, what is this from? Yeah, Frostmiser. Thank you, Subzifo. This is Frostmiser, and it fucking slaps. I mean, obviously the makeup is stunning. This like headpiece that looks like his weird frozen hair, unreal. Absolutely into it. The only thing that would have made it better, obviously, is if there was a, yes, exactly. Hi, Chelsea, welcome on in. The only thing that would have made it better was if there was a Heat Miser, right? Which I will say Heat Miser is it's a cosplay I've thought about. It's something that I'm not opposed to. It's been on my mind. And after seeing this, I mean, it's fully inspired. I gotta say, speaking of like inspiration, at con, it's a vicious cycle, cosplay. Here's the thing. When I'm con crunching, I'm trying to get ready, I'm sitting at my sewing machine and I'm just like, I wish it was just finished already. I wish I was at con already, having fun. And then when I'm at con, I see all of these other amazing cosplayers and what they come up with. And then I'm kind of like, oh my God, I'm so inspired. I can't wait to get back to my sewing machine. So the cycle goes on and on. The more you go to cons, the more you want to go to cons, the more you cosplay, the more you want to cosplay. Thank you for telling me the movie. The movie is called The Year Without a Santa Claus. And, okay, so it's Snow Miser. Heat Miser and Snow Miser. Stunning makeup. Definitely follow this creator on Instagram if you want to see more of their special effects makeup. We have one girl that did not want to be tagged, but 3 cosplayers here that you can find on Instagram if you choose. But obviously, I had to take a picture of Mean Girls. They were stunning. They were perfect. Got me very hyped to see the musical movie that's coming out in January. So you should check out any of these awesome cosplayers on Instagram as well. They were not the only Mean Girls cosplayers that I saw at this con, but they were definitely the best. Like, they just absolutely nailed it. And I don't know what this is, and they didn't have any social media to give me, but like, I'm so into it. If you know what this is, like, tell me. If you recognize, maybe it's an anime, I don't know. It's like a white furry creature with some stuff and like a tree head. But I loved how it looked. First of all, very impressive headpiece. I love a headpiece. Going back to my affinity for carnival and showgirl aesthetic, and when it comes to making those versions of cosplays, totally respect a solid headpiece. And I thought it was cool that they had all of these weird little things, and they explained to me that it was like a summary of the con. So what stood out to me was the Josh Hutcherson, Josh PETA, the picture of PETA that they were hanging, but it was all just like memes and subtle references to just things about the con, which love when any con takes on such a life of its own that like the con itself has lore. So not just all of the fandoms that are represented and celebrated, but the con itself has a lore. Obviously, Dragon Con is my flagship con, and I know a lot of the Dragon Con lore, but I love branching out to other cons and seeing, you know, basically what I consider it's like their Dragon Con, and I love seeing other people kind of stan the community that they have at their con. Oh, these pictures are of a panel that I attended. It's hosted by a cosplay group called the Bombshells Cosplay, if you want to check them out. But they hosted a murder mystery party, which was so much fun. They had this evidence for us to inspect. All of their, you know, they were all in character, and we got to interview them and piece together the clues and figure out who the murderer was. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. The performers were great. Should I tell you who the killer was? Should I tell you? I mean, I don't know that you're gonna, like, this is not gonna be repeated, right? I'm gonna tell you who the killer was only because she was amazing. She was in character the entire time. She was Yoshi. Cosplayer as Yoshi. She only spoke in Yoshi the whole time. Dead on, never missed a beat. She was so perfect until the end, when it was revealed that she was the killer, and then she just talked in a normal voice and was like, I was f***ing hungry. And that's why I killed them. So great. And it was a cool, like, mashup. Because it wasn't just, like, Super Mario characters. Like, there's Yoshi, there's anime characters, there's Carnage, there's like all these different characters in theory being invited to the same party. If you've never done a murder mystery dinner party, like, I absolutely recommend. It is hilarious and great. This is just a quick pic of another panel that I went to. I should have tagged their socials, these two wonderful, personable panelists. But it was about monetizing cosplay and, you know, how to sell your cosplays if that's the thing you're interested in. So this is kind of the gamut of like what I like to do at con is I like to meet people. I like to go on journeys. I like to hang out. But I also, you know, like to go to educational panels, learn more about a craft, or go to silly panels, you know, activity, make con an activity. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by all the things that you can do at con and they just kind of shut down. Or yeah, they're so overwhelmed. They're like, I don't want to walk into that panel because I don't want to miss something. But sometimes you just gotta follow your gut and find the activities and like embrace them. You know, I also hate when I see people hate's a strong word. I feel bad when I see people at con who are like, they sit in a panel and they're just like immediately on their phones, or they really don't give it a chance. They don't allow themselves to engage, and then they get bored. And I just feel like if you really open yourself up, there's so much more to experience at con than a lot of people realize. I think some people are so focused on FOMO that they don't focus on the moment. And if you can savor the moments at con, you're really going to get the best experience out of it. Don't get people who don't attend organized content. I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like, I go to all the panels, but I usually go to at least one panel a day. And quite often, you know, more than that. Particularly panels that are interactive or performative, right? So the burlesque show, this murder mystery party. I also went to a really fun panel at this con that was like 18 and over, dirty Sailor Moon madlibs. It was hosted by a cosplay group called the Jacksonville Sailor Scouts. They were all amazing, delightful, in character, good at improv. They had played a lot of games with the audience, and of course, by the end of it, we had all created like a silly, dirty Mad Lib. So I love interactive stuff. But also, like, I get people that I get people that just want to go to cons to party. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I will say some of the best times that I had at this con, and I would definitely rank this up there of all the cons I went to this year. Should probably do like a tier list of all the cons I went to this year. We might put that on the table for a January stream. But a lot of the best times I had at this con were just like hanging out on the patio by the fire pit, which overlooks the pool, gorgeous, and just meeting people, because, you know, everybody's just down to meet. So I understand why some people don't go to a lot of panels, but I think, to your point, Zippo, I think some people are missing out because they're almost so overwhelmed and so excited to be at con that they're worried that like sitting means they're going to miss something, when in fact, oftentimes sitting and just listening and experiencing and watching is the great part of con. I could maybe go on a tangent about like attention span being a thing with people now. I mean, when you think about like swiping and scrolling through content, not everyone has it in them to sit down for an hour and listen and pay attention to a live discussion about a topic. And I guess, you know, no shade, no disrespect if that's you, but I encourage you to maybe try, because there's really something worthy to sitting and being in the moment in a panel and not constantly just being like, well, I just want to watch the action or the partying. You know, there's a beautiful balance that I think you can hit. I think I definitely hit it at this con. I had the most beautiful mix of like quiet times, talking with people, you know, partying, having fun, karaoke, panels, and also working with photographers, which was really fun to capture those cosplays. Speaking to the party scene, Holmat is definitely a party con. They have these lovely cozy fire pits on their back patio overlooking the pool. It's a vibe. And also Florida in December is a vibe. Did y'all know that there's a whole ass part of the country where it's like not cold at Christmas time? Because this was news to me and I thought it was delightful. Palm trees, people swimming. It was great. It sounds nice. Yeah, this is in Orlando, Florida. And it's every year around Christmas. But since I'm getting to kind of the end of all the fun pictures I have to share, I can probably share why I will never go to this con again. Maybe. There's a chance that I might not ever go back, even though it was maybe one of the best cons I've ever been to. Oh, you had early Christmas in Florida. Isn't it just stunning the way it's like not winter? I hate winter. I don't do winter. It's not for me. But here's the thing. I think a lot of what made this con was the content. I think it was well organized, great panelists, great vibes, but a lot of it was that it's at this hotel. It's at this beautiful hotel that invites people to sit around a fire or hang out at the bar, or, you know, it was so cozy, or hang by the pool. You know, they have like a grassy area by the pool where you can play games, and it was so cozy and welcoming and like amenable to socialization that I can't imagine going back to this con, because this is the last year that this con will be at this hotel. They're totally changing things up. And they're moving this con to a convention center, which more to come. There's a chance I might be branching out into YouTube a little bit in 2024, and if that's the case, a topic I really want to touch on via YouTube is cons and how they die when they move from hotels to convention centers. I don't know if anyone has thoughts on that. Maybe, you know, I'm actually curious to know if there are more cons that have transitioned from hotel to convention, and I would love to hear from people about what's that transition like. Next year, Anime Weekend Atlanta will also be moving from its host hotel to a convention center. Years ago, MomoCon moved from hotels to a convention center. And in general, there is something that is lost in that vibe, because a convention center is a place for, you know, a conference and can be a lovely space for these types of events. But there is something about con that is more than just panels and organized events, right? The community builds the con lore, and the community makes it, you know, as much as anything else. So while I had the best freaking time at this con, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go back next year. I mean, obviously it's a year away. I have plenty of time to think about it. We'll just have to see. I do like Florida in December. I can't lie. It's nice. I love con. It's a lifestyle. It's becoming more and more all the time for me, a lifestyle. And thank you guys for hanging out and vibing while I share about my most recent con. These are some images of like the partying. This was on the last night of con, so that's when people were really turning up, wanting to say goodbye to the hotel, which will no longer host this convention. That Chucky cosplay is just honestly the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. So now I share it with you. And I hope you have like just the best dreams about it, because like I can't even see where the mask ends and the face begins. It just, everything about it, creepy, brilliant. No idea who this guy is, but he did a great job. And the last photo that I have to share from my Holiday Matsuri experience is this is the bar on the last night of the con. They stopped serving alcohol like 2 hours before they were typically meant to serve alcohol. They stopped serving at midnight, and they simply left the bar covered with glasses of water. As if to say, guess what? You're all drunk. You're all overserved. We will not be serving you anymore. Here's fucking water. Drink it. Or don't. But we're not going to serve you drinks anymore. Which a lot of people were bummed out about. You know, of course, they're like, oh no, alcohol. We need alcohol to keep having fun. But I had to take a picture of it because I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, the water is thoughtful. Like, hey, you know. Yeah, that is because it was like a lobby full of drunk people. But I don't know. I've been to Colossal Con, I've been to Dragon Con, which were also very party heavy cons. So for me, it wasn't like the worst level of debauchery that I've ever seen. I'm glad no one's brought it up because I was hoping I wouldn't be asked about it, but now I'm going to bring it up. That there were a lot of rumors circulating at Holmat that I don't want to entertain because none of them, as far as I know, are substantiated. But there was like a vibe that people were over consuming, or perhaps consuming things they weren't aware of consuming. I don't know. You know, I'm not gonna. I don't want to spread rumors. But you know, everybody be careful out there at con. Yeah, I don't have any problem with drinking and partying. Love to do it. But there's also like, you know, a chill way to do that. You don't have to over consume to have fun at con. And if you do, if you think you have to, and otherwise it's not worth it, I think you're not like slowing down enough to like look around and really appreciate con. That's my soapbox. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You can kind of do a backwards. I'm gonna do that while I eat a cookie. Chat requests that I go back to the bunnies. Behold, butts. And that's it. That was Holmat.